the Queen, I'm Tori McConnell, and I'm the Food Village Coordinator in the Yurok Tribe Environmental Program's Food Sovereignty Division. And I'm going to be doing a cooking demonstration for you today, working on one of my favorite recipes, which is a wild rice salad with lots of great nutrients and flavors mixed together. I'm really excited to have you, and I hope that you will enjoy this recipe if you decide to try it as much as I do. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, we want to prepare the liquid that we're going to cook our rice in. So usually if you just cook rice in water, it's good, but you can add more flavor by cooking it in some kind of broth like vegetable or chicken broth. And I'm going to be using vegetable broth today just from the store because my supervisor is vegan and I want them to be able to enjoy this meal. So we're going to be using this veggie broth, and we're going to put some lemon balm tea in there. Sometimes I also use lemon balm extract, which I just buy at a health food store in one of the little dropper bottles, and I can put a few droppers of that just to my taste. But today we'll use tea instead of that. Lemon balm is something that helps your digestion and your nervous system. So if you're stressed out during this fall time, you're trying to harvest everything that you're trying to harvest and get everything done, except for the holidays. If you do that, then it's nice to just have some lemon balm and just chill out. So we'll infuse that into our broth.
So I'm cooking 2 cups of wild rice according to the directions on the wild rice package. So I'm measuring out 3.5 cups of liquid to cook it in. I'll go ahead and season that with some garlic powder and some pepper, and I'll turn on high heat, and once it starts boiling I'll add 8 tea bags of lemon balm tea. Now it's time to prepare our rice. So we'll go ahead and start by measuring it out and washing it. I'm measuring out 2 cups. Wild rice originally comes from the Great Lakes region, where it has been cultivated and honored by the indigenous people of this area since time immemorial. The Ojibwe refer to this traditional food as menomin, so if you're able to order menomin from a native-run company or business, definitely do so. If you don't have access to this, you can certainly use whatever type of rice you have on hand, whether you received it in a food distribution box or you stocked up on it at your last trip to the grocery store. This is a rice salad recipe, so there are no rules about what you can include. Just feel free to be creative and adjust the ingredients to your needs and preferences.
All right, so I'm going to add the washed rice into our broth here. And the broth specifically is low sodium, so that flavor can really come through. It's something like using less salt so that you can utilize other flavors, so you're not just depending on salt as the singular thing that's making it taste good. And I've also added 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. That was just on the directions on the package of rice. You could add butter if you would like, or olive oil, or another kind of oil. I just prefer avocado oil. I'm going to just give that a little stir. It smells so good. I'm going to add a teaspoon and a half of rosemary, dried rosemary. You could use fresh, but if you used fresh, you would want to add that in at the very end when you mix in your other salad ingredients. So I'm going to put the dried rosemary in now so that it can have time to rehydrate. So I'm going to bring this to a boil, and now I'm going to reduce the heat to medium and cover it with a nice tight lid and let that cook for 45 minutes.
In this recipe, I'm going to be adding chopped walnuts, dried cranberries, sautéed mushrooms, and spinach. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare the walnuts and the spinach and set them aside for later when we're ready to add them at the very end. I'm just going to give the walnuts a rough chop, and then I'm going to take the spinach, and give that a little chop as well.
So the thing about walnuts is that, kind of like acorns, they have chemicals inside of them that you can remove by leaching them in water. You don't have to have them under running water. You can just put your walnuts and let them soak in water for maybe 8 to 12 hours, and that will remove some of those phytochemicals that make it more difficult for your body to digest. So once they're soaked, and you can dehydrate them or roast them if you want after that, or let them dry out to your liking, it's much easier for your body to utilize the nutrients in these nuts. Okay, and then now I can do the mushrooms.
At this point, it would be ideal if you have some fresh tan oak mushrooms, but I didn't have any for this video, so I went gathering at Safeway. These are portobello mushrooms, and I'm just going to slice them with the gills facing down using a sharp knife and then cut them into large cubes. Disclaimer, I've never prepared portobello mushrooms before this, but when I saw these at the store, I was shopping and I wanted to include them in this recipe because I've heard they're a good meaty mushroom, and this will enhance our salad with texture and flavor without using actual meat. It's always really good for us to reduce the amount of meat in our diets, and I know it's hard sometimes, but simple and subtle changes like this one are actually pretty easy if you have access to these sort of ingredients, and it can make a big difference in our health over time. I also have some shiitake mushrooms that I'm slicing lengthwise, and finally I have some white button mushrooms that I'm dicing into small cubes. You might have noticed already, but I'm chopping the mushrooms all into different shapes and sizes. This is just my preference. You can chop your mushrooms however you want, but I just think having different shapes in our salad will be fun and interesting. I'm sauteing them in about a tablespoon of avocado oil over medium heat, adding a bit of onion powder and a dash of pepper, and I'll cook them until they're nice and tender.
Okay, so our rice is done, and I'm just gonna pour it into this larger pot because I'll need to mix everything. And I'll just put some of this spinach in there, all of this spinach, and give that a nice stir. And then just let it sit for a little bit. Put the mushrooms in there. I'm gonna add with some little pieces of fresh oregano, and I'm gonna add my walnuts and my dried cranberries. I just look at the ratio, like, because this is one of those recipes, it's a salad, right? There's not really recipes for salads and measurements. You put your dressing on, you put whatever on it. So when you're mixing all this stuff together, you just put stuff in it until you see what you like. You know, it's not like you're gonna mess it up or something. If you really, really, really like walnuts, you could put a lot of walnuts in it. Same with the mushrooms, the cranberries. Like total, I had probably like 5 cups of mushrooms before they were done cooking. So once they were cooked down, it was like 2.5 cups maybe, or 3. But yeah, you just go with what you want. And so here is the finished product. You can see that. I've been stirring it a little. The spinach is just a tiny bit wilted, so it's a little bit darker green than it was when I chopped it up. And then we have all of our, I ended up adding all the walnuts and cranberries. And then we have all of our other ingredients.
Okay, so here's our final plating. We have beautiful acorn squash just roasted in the oven, 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. No oil or anything. It just cut it in half, put it on the pan, and you got that nice caramelization. And played with some of this sockeye salmon. Yeah, it's not from the Klamath River because I couldn't get it. I had to go to the co-op. But it's salmon and it's beautiful. Good North Coast native protein. And then our dish of the day. Looking so colorful and vibrant and delicious. I tasted it, and the lemon balm flavor is definitely more mild. So if you want a stronger one, use lemon balm extract and add it at the end. The extract that I was talking about at the beginning in the dropper bottle. And you can add it to taste if you do add it at the end, rather than infusing your liquid at the beginning. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that if you do make this meal sometime, you enjoy all the wonderful vegetables and flavors and not having to use salt, because just opening your palate to all these different things, it's a great experience and it's so much fun. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again sometime. Shoot.
We also want to give a special thank you to the U.S. Agriculture Center here on Humboldt Hill for allowing us to use their beautiful commercial kitchen. They usually do master food preserver classes and other things here, and so the facilities are wonderful. It's open for the public to use because it is a community kitchen. You can just make an appointment with them and schedule it out. That's what we've done here, and they have everything that you need, all the dishes, pans, pots, except for the ingredients and the hard work, but it's a wonderful place, so definitely want to give our thanks and props to them.
Reaction video. What was your initial reaction, Taylor?
This is so good. Like, we didn't add salt to any of these components that I'm eating, and it doesn't need it at all. Like, I feel like adding salt would like drown out some of these like subtle but like perfectly balanced flavors, like the lemon balm and stuff in there. So I'm really, really loving it. And the mix of like the crunchy texture from the walnuts with the softness of the rice and like the little tart little pops of the cranberry, it's really good. And also if you like serve it with a squash, you can make a cute little squash boat. Look how cute it is.